rise. Say the world, fly to the sky. Half kid, I'm amazing. Okay, stash out, I'm facing. Yeah, 1-0, then you zap. Get see, get trapped. Look in my eyes, I got the power. Villains run from static shower. Superhero, static shock. Superhero, static shock. Criminals, get twisted. It's superhero gifted. Bell ring, back in school. Nobody know what I do. Okay, superhero, static shock. Superhero, static shock. Superhero, static shock. 1-0, then you zap. Get see, get trapped. Look in my eyes, I got the power. Villains run from static shower. Criminals, get twisted. It's superhero gifted. Bell ring, back in school. Nobody know what I do. Okay, superhero, static shock.
You don't get a reply into here. Oh, hi. Hello. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I thought now would be a great time just take a moment and talk about a few shows, or maybe a while back. Do you remember Toonami? I remember Toonami very well. Being a '90s kid, it was and you know it was in the 2000s, and so it was. I think I used to the late '90s. I used to stay up to midnight. You know, you're a kid back then, so it's kind of like, oh, you go to bed. All right, I'll go to bed. All right. You know, you lay down and you don't really go to bed. You're watching television in your room, and you're sitting on top of your bunk bed, looking at television, and you're waiting for midnight to come, because it was either Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, or Zorro on the Disney Channel. And I'm thinking, well, which one do I want to watch? I'm like them both. I can't choose. I even tried to record an episode once. I said, well, I'll set the clock. Pardon me, the recorded timer thing on the VCR. Never got it recorded. I didn't know how to do it back then. Well, I did, kind of. It didn't work. Put it that way. I remember one show particularly fondly, and that was Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack. I remember Samurai Jack. That was the show. The first time I stayed up past midnight in the late '90s, I was on the phone with a friend, and we were watching and reacting to, and kind of acting out Samurai Jack, and it was a blast. I was on my Mickey Mouse phone, and it was unbelievable. And watching, I want to say that cartoon, unbeknownst to a lot of us kids back then, that cartoon sort of ushered in slightly, or slipped it into the style that was done, and the references that it made and everything. That stuff kind of was, you know, we were able to see it without really being able to go, hey, what is this? You know, we kind of accepted it, and we just like, all right, son, that looks fine. I like it. It's groovy. Let's watch it. And to me, that's a good thing, because you get exposed to all different sorts of styles and everything back then through that. You know, that was the way you did. That's the way it worked best. But those shows, we're talking late '90s, early 2000s now, and this is probably not much different than my Fox Kids video blog thing that I did, but Samurai Jack, who was a favorite character, Jack, of course, a favorite character I couldn't really choose, but Samurai Jack and Ed, Edd n Eddy, Powerpuff Girls, oh geez, there were a lot of shows back then. It's kind of difficult to remember them all, because there were a lot of them. My love right now is Static Shock. You know, I loved it back then as a kid. I remember, you know, you come home from school, and you know you're like, oh, okay, I'll do my homework. Fine, I'll do my homework. And you know, I think I did my homework first. You do your homework, and then you know, or depending on what time of day it was and what day it was. You know, on Saturdays, you know, stuff come on in the early mornings, and weekdays will probably come on in the early afternoons. 3 o'clock or so. So I guess kind of depended on when it kind of came on. But you know, you flip to the channel. Let's just throw the homework out. You flip to the channel, and you're like, oh, Static Shock, that is, oh yes. And you're sitting there in your room on the bottom bunk this time. You know, probably on the bottom bunk, and you're watching your television, and you're enjoying yourself a lot because you're watching one of your favorite shows. and I recently experienced a resurge, of obsession for it. I was obsessed back then with it. My favorite character was Richie Foley. And back then I didn't know it was a comic series. I didn't know anything about that, so I just said I should go on. And that's nothing that stuff did. It kind of introduced us to comic stuffs without us knowing it was comic stuff. Some of us kids, unless you read comics. And as a child, I didn't really read comics. I got exposure to comics much later than I probably should have. I think the first comic that I read was in 2007. I mean, I may have seen stuff before then. I don't remember back that far though, whether they were comics or not. But the first exposure that I can actively remember was 2007, because they had Spider-Man 3, and they were giving out little comic books, targeted in places. I don't even think you had to pay for them. I think they were just there for free. You take one, and I had all of them up until recently. And I think some of them might have gotten accidentally tossed out. Some of them are lost in our storage room. But I did find one recently, and that one's back in my room. It's kind of waiting to be put up somewhere. And so I really enjoyed that, and I would be anxious to get the next Spider-Man comics. And these weren't necessarily recent comics; they were like older comics re-released to prepare you for the new movie, and that was a real treat. I really liked that. And I've got a Star Wars comic from had to be the 80s, early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, done by Marvel. And I should have brought all that in here with me before I did this, I've not opened it, because when I bought it, I think I bought it for maybe about $2 or less at the flea market, and it was wrapped in packaging, and I don't understand the packaging. I don't want to open it at all. I want to leave it in there, but at the same time I want to read it. Talk about conflict of interest. But I mean, those shows, Teen Titans. I've been watching Static Shock recently, courtesy of the internet. And at the end of every episode, when the credits are rolling, these, back then we used to have okay, let's say this is Static Shock here. Over here is an advertisement or a promotional thing for shows that are currently airing. And this was on KidsWB. KidsWB, mind you, KidsWB, WB with Michigan J Frog, and it shows a promo for Teen Titans or Jackie Chan Adventures. You remember that one? I used to love that one. Or the next episode of Static Shock. And so, this is early 2000 stuff, because it hasn't been properly released on DVD, the series. I think there was Static Shock to New Kid on the Block that may have had a few episodes, but as far as whole seasons, that hasn't happened. And I think there was talk of Static coming back to the television, or maybe having a new series, or having a movie or something, but with the untimely passing of Dwayne McDuffie, I probably wouldn't put those too far in the forthcoming stage. That's not to knock them out. I frankly, I don't know. I don't have any information about that, other than what I've read, which I kind of said a moment ago. And I think without him, it's like trying to imagine Star Wars without George Lucas. Yeah, he's getting old, but let's say George had died in the, I don't know, after Jedi, Star Wars, Empire, Jedi, after Jedi. We wouldn't have the prequels probably. I don't know where would be right now. We would not. It would have been totally different. So I think without Dwayne McDuffie, it may be a little difficult to even imagine anything coming forth. Although I think Static did appear in the New 52 series. I think he has something going on there. I kind of read about it, but again, I'm hyped up on excitement, remembering all of this, so my memory is kind of fuzzy now. So, yeah. Oh, I just want to talk briefly about that. This went kind of long. We've got 15 minutes on YouTube nowadays, but this is still sort of a long one. So I apologize about that. Yeah, thanks for listening. Well, see you next time on Fields Talks or Lanny Onassis, depending on where this one's uploaded. Bye.